Peace, ladies. So this video is going to be some tips on ways you can try to prevent an argument with a masculine man when you are having a tough conversation, when things get a little heated, right? Oftentimes men will accuse you of being combative or argumentative or competitive, and sometimes you know you are being that way, right? So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on things that you can do to be less combative and to show that you are trying to understand a little bit better, and hopefully it will help prevent things from getting to an unnecessary level of arguing at each other, yelling at each other, saying things that are hurtful to each other, and all that unnecessary back and forth. Okay, so number one, and I've mentioned this a few times before, you need to pay attention to what your face is saying, what your body language is saying, because if you are just listening, even if you're not the one that's talking, you got to understand that nonverbal communication makes up the majority of communication. So if he's talking and the whole time you're looking at him like, anything like that, you got to understand that that is really speaking for you. And so when it is your turn to speak, don't be surprised if he cuts you off, because now your body language and your facial expression has already done majority of the talking for you, and it has pretty much expressed everything that you're feeling. Even if that's not what you were going to say, it is still communicating for you. So you want to do your best to have a relaxed and gentle face when you are listening, and making sure that your face is saying, hey, I'm actually open to receiving what you're saying, versus your face being closed off to everything that you are hearing, versus your face just saying, no, I really don't agree with nothing you're saying. Nope, this is wrong. I disagree. Nope, 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 nope. Or versus your face saying, I really could care less about this conversation. Like, are you done? Right? So just pay attention to all of this. All right? Make sure it's respectful. Make sure it is loving. Okay? And accepting. Right? Same thing with your body language. You don't want to be sitting like this. Anything like that. You don't want to be sitting like you really could care less about the conversation. Really be attentive, and be observant. Be present, okay? So that is one. If you can check this and master this, that is going to help prevent an argument. One. Number two, how you respond is going to be very, very important. Ladies, when you go to respond to something that your man has just expressed to you or has just explained to you, the very first thing that comes out of your mouth should be what it is you understood about what he just said. If you started off with you trying to explain why you did what you did or why you behaved the way that you behaved, I know to you it just sounds like you're giving clarity, because we as women, we like clarity. We want to receive clarity. We want to understand, why did you feel the need to do that? Help me understand, right? Men don't view it that way. They hear it as, okay, she is making excuses, she's being argumentative, she's in defense mode, she's in lawyer mode, she's making excuses and trying to justify her poor behavior, right? So do not start it off with an explanation. Do not start it off with explaining or expressing how you feel about what you just heard him say. Because if he said something that you were triggered by, that is not the time for you to express, well, I don't like that you just said that, or why did you have to say it like that, or that hurt my feelings. That is not the time to express that. You're going to have your chance to do that, but you want to start it off with what it is you understood, because if you don't start it off with that, you are being dismissive. You are being insensitive. You are saying, yeah, forget what you're talking about. We're going to make this conversation about what I wanted it to be about, right? And you don't want to do that. It's one of the reasons why a lot of men stop trying to communicate with their woman, because they're like, she's not listening to me. She could care less about what I'm saying. She's just going to talk about what she want to talk about, right? So that should be the first response. What it is you understood about what he said. When you are talking about what it is you understand, you can't just say, oh, I understand. I get it. What do you understand? What is it that you get about how your actions or behaviors were problematic? What is it that you get about how your behavior affected him? Okay, so use statements like I acknowledge or I realize versus just I understand, because oftentimes women will just keep it at I understand, and they won't explain what they understand, okay? So that is one thing that can help prevent an argument, starting off with what you understand. Now, the next step is bringing in a sense of accountability. If you just say, okay, I get it, I understand you have a problem with this, now this is how I feel, that is still not good enough. You have to make sure you bring in that sense of accountability, being able to acknowledge what it is that you did. Okay, this does not mean you're just walking around holding your head in shame and beating yourself up. That is not what it means to hold yourself accountable. It's just you being responsible for your actions. It is you being a mature adult and saying, hey, I know right from wrong, and I realized that was not the right thing to do. As adults, no person, no man or woman should have to sit through a long lecture trying to explain to us right from wrong when it's wrong, right? We could save ourselves sitting through these long lectures, these 2-3 hour lectures sometimes some women deal with, if you would just hold yourself accountable, like, you're right, that was wrong. And here's another thing about holding yourself accountable, ladies, is that so many women feel like when they are in relationship with masculine man that, oh, he's trying to dictate all these aspects of my life, or he's controlling, or he's this and that, right? And I don't think that that's okay at all. The thing is, however, if you are untrustworthy, and by that I don't mean like you're dishonest, but if he can't trust you to think for yourself, if he can't trust you to do the right thing, if he really believes that you just don't know right from wrong, you don't know how to make good decisions because you never hold yourself accountable. If you never hold yourself accountable, then that's saying like you just don't know. Like you just don't know that what you did was a problem. If that's the case, he is probably going to feel like, I got to think for her because she don't know no better, right? If you want to have some type of power, if you want to have some type of say-so in things, you better hold yourself accountable and take responsibility for your actions. So he's like, okay, yeah, she knows better. She was tripping. She apologized. We're going to move on, right? Other than that, you're just prolonging conversations for no reason. Hold yourself accountable and move forward, okay? If you do that, that is going to prevent an argument. Now, holding yourself accountable is not you saying, oh, well, you do it too. Holding yourself accountable is not you saying, well, I wouldn't have done it if you wouldn't have did that, or yeah, I did it, but it's not that big of a deal. That is not holding yourself accountable. It's having some type of remorse within that as well, saying, yes, I did it. It was wrong. This is why it was wrong. I know I'm not going to do it again. Blah, blah, blah. Right? So really holding yourself accountable. The next thing that you can do to prevent an argument is just contribute some type of positivity. That might be you actually saying something like, I love you, or I appreciate you. It could be you implementing touch. It could be adding a little sense of humor in there, a little bit of the sensuality or whatever. But just contributing some positivity will help lower the guards, help lower the defenses, so it won't seem like you're enemies in that moment. It will seem like you and him against the problem versus you against him. Okay. And lastly, if you are able to actually speak on what you do agree with versus what you do not agree with, it can help prevent an argument, because usually when women respond, they are fixated on one thing they heard their man say, right? And that also shows that you're really not in your feminine energy. You're really not allowing the conversation to flow, because what will happen is he'll be talking, he'll be expressing something or trying to explain something to you, and one thing will stand out to you amongst everything else he said, right? And you'll become fixated on that one point, that one thing that triggered you, that one thing that you disagree with, that one thing that offended you, right? That one thing that you want to correct. And so he will have said 3,000 other words, and all you heard was those 5 that you didn't like, right? And so now when it's time for you to respond, you're just responding to that and just completely ignoring everything else that he said. Right? You have to allow conversation to flow. But anyways, when you do that, you are really just pinpointing what it is you disagree with. You are listening with the intention to defend, to debunk, to debate, to discredit, to disprove. You're not listening to really try to understand. You're not really trying to receive what it is he is trying to express to you, which again just shows that you are being combative, right? So being able to acknowledge something that you do agree with within his statement, because you don't disagree with everything he said, right? So being able to say, you know what, you're right, I do agree with this part, right? I understand that. I acknowledge that. I hold myself accountable for that. You know, you got the body language, you got the positivity going. And then once you got all of that going for you, then yes, express how you feel. Then express your experience. Then share your perspective on all of that. That is how you're going to be heard. One of the reasons women are never heard is because they do not listen. You know, if you want to be heard, you're going to have to hear him out. Okay? And so these are some things that you can do to hopefully prevent arguments in your relationship. I want you to give it a try. Don't knock it before you try it, okay? And if you would like some more information, you can visit my website at saralenacoaching.com. There's some free downloadable PDF files for you all, or you can book some coaching sessions with me if you would like some one-on-one training on how to communicate in a more feminine manner, okay? Peace and much love.